Agents, what's going on, guys? My name is Poe, and welcome to the channel. If you guys enjoy Division content, click the subscribe button, and if you find this video useful, be sure to leave a thumbs up. It helps out a lot. So today, we are giving you guys a first impression review of the Medved, which is the exclusive weapon that can drop in the Clear Sky Incursion on challenge difficulty. Emphasis on can. It's still influenced by RNG, just like the Warlord was in Falcon Lost, so maybe you do it the first time and get it, maybe you have to do it 10 times. Now, the question is it worth grinding for? And I think it's an absolutely phenomenal shotgun. The Saiga 12 is, in my opinion, the best archetype of shotgun in the game. It's incredible, it's great for console and PC players, and it's just badass all around. But it's got really nice talents on it too, so it's definitely worth looking into. So one thing I wanted to share with you guys, this cool little Easter egg that I'm super proud of because I found it. I noticed that the Pecan, which is the other named LMG in the game, actually had Russian influence. The name was slang in Russian for mobster or gangster, so I thought Medved had to stand for something in Russian too, right? And with Google help, I noticed that it stood for bear, which is funny because, you know, Russians and bears kind of go together like peanut butter and foreplay, so it's, you know, it kind of makes sense. And then I noticed something on the left side of the weapon. Right above the trigger, you will notice there are two words, but they're in Spanish, and they spell out abrazos gratis, which stands for free hugs. So if you put two and two together, we have a gun called Bear, and etched on the side of that gun says free hugs. So free bear hugs. That's cute. I love it. Anyways, that aside, what's so interesting about this weapon? Now, this was initially an area of concern for me. I noticed that, hey, this gun's only got two modification slots. I can put a scope on it, and I can put a mag in it. But what about down here like the other Saiga 12s? I can't put stability on it or accuracy or whatever I'd like, and that initially made me scared, but I believe the Medved has like 3,000 or 4,000 extra DPS built into it to make up for that lack of a modification slot. And I noticed this because I rolled an almost perfect damage SASG, and it was just shy of what this one could put out. But either way, you can definitely influence the base SASGs beyond the DPS that this can offer with that extra modification slot. Just so you know, plus you can get things like responsive and stuff on it. So this isn't a god roll weapon, but for a named one, it's definitely above par. And it really is awesome. So obviously for your sight, you're going to want to have headshot damage, crit hit chance. And for the mag, I would heavily recommend you guys to run magazine size and weapon damage. Now, the talents for this thing are pretty cool. I like them on all kinds of different levels because they work well, but they are definitely only for PvE. Now, Unforgiving is one of the best talents for a shotgun in the game. It's heavily underrated, and it's because, well, you're using a shotgun. You basically have to get close enough to know what they ate for lunch. You gotta be right up in their face, and with this, it means you're gonna take a little bit more damage than you would with an SMG or an AR or marksman because you're more vulnerable. With this, Unforgiving activates far more frequently, giving you a lot of extra damage to save your ass. So that is a talent that's good for PvP and PvE. As for Ferocious and Destructive, clearly only PvE talents, but combined, that's 32% extra damage that you do to NPCs, and that's huge. The only downfall is to get Ferocious to activate, you need 2,063 points in electronics. Not a lot of people can do that, so you're usually going to be stuck with Destructive. And do not try this at home, ladies and gentlemen. I'm using a designed PvE weapon for PvP because I can. And this just goes to show exactly how incredible Saigas are. I don't have a lot of damage influence. What if this thing had responsive and brutal and something on it? I mean, it would be capable of so much more, and I was able to just come in here and hijack off all over their face, and it was pretty badass. So, tips for using this weapon. Now, in PvE, it's great. If you were to equip, and this is a must-have for shotguns, Sentry's Call 4-piece. You can still stack damage with shotguns. Unlike SMGs and everything, that's a really interesting thing to do. And with this shotgun, with the exception of double barrels, having the fastest rate of fire, you have a lot of stacks that you can put on quick. So even if you put 2 or 3 shots in, getting a triple stack on one target, then you whip out your SMG just like that, and well, let the free hugs rain down on them. And that's so cool about the weapon. But in general, like I said, do not use this for PvP. Can it be used for PvP? Clearly. Is it worth doing? Probably not. But shotguns in general are heavily underrated. I actually use them as my primary source in PvP. I love them. So this gun would be really interesting to experiment with up in the 34 zones. I can two-shot almost any of the NPCs down in the lower areas. Keep in mind, my firearms is pretty low. I mean, even on my SMG, I'm only at like 185k DPS. This is around 120k DPS. I do use booster shot, which is huge because if you got 4 slot sentries, you can put on like vigorous chest piece and stuff like that and do some really interesting scaling. And though I've not personally tested, I would definitely expect this thing to hold up in the 34 zone as well. What's so interesting is a lot of those are cleaners, and generally you don't want to take a shotgun to a cleaner party. But if you put on Final Measure, have 4-piece sentries, 2-piece Final Measure, you have the destructive and everything on there, you can do some pretty sinister things with a shotgun up in those areas. I've done it personally with an 870, and a Saiga is much better. I'm pretty confident you could straight up probably 1v1 an incinerator with this particular weapon and enough armor and toughness. I need to try it now because I'm going to put the bear up against an incinerator and see who wins. But it's definitely a remarkable weapon, and I honestly would say if you get one, keep it. Not only does it look cool, but it's really good for PvE, and I would honestly think that for a strict PvE weapon, it may not be a bad idea to alter your build to unlock Ferocious, because honestly, that's an extra 32% faster time to kill with just the combination of Destructive and Ferocious, not counting what happens when you get 3 Sentry stacks on top, which I believe is bugged and does, what is it? I think it's 52 extra damage. That's 84% faster time to kill with this weapon and Sentries combined, and that's remarkable. So thanks for watching, guys. If you found this video useful and you enjoyed yourself, be sure to subscribe, stay tuned, and continue to browse the channel by clicking one of the 2 recommended videos on your screen. Stay moist, guys.